It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
We'll start with this story about a revving car engine. And have you ever heard a car engine revving and it's loud and you
Last
think to
night.
yourself, that's annoying, right?
Happened last night.
Did it escalate, though, the way it would have in Florida?
Almost.
Let's talk about this one. This man in Florida found himself behind bars after he allegedly flung an object inside another man's vehicle and then whipped out a sword during a road rage fight over his revved up engine. Yes.
I didn't have a sword.
No, well, that's your first order of business is to go get yourself a sword. Gervasio Aranza Jr. was arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill, damage to property $1,000 or more, and throwing a missile into a vehicle. I don't know what kind of missile he had after this incident that unfolded on Highway 200 in, is it Ocala?
Ocala.
Yeah, happened last Friday.
You know where that is. Come on, Tim.
Yes, I do know exactly where that is. Whole Foods, anybody?
You know you've produced Florida when you're like, no, it's Ocala.
Ocala. No, I know exactly how it's pronounced. Thank you very much. So deputies responded. They met with the victim who said he was in a road rage incident with this man, later identified as Aranca, a 65-year-old man. This incident started when the two were at a traffic light, and apparently Aranca started to rev up his engine. The victim confronted Aranca and tried to speak with him through his window, but Aranca drove off. The two were yelling at each other from their cars while driving down the highway. That's when Aranca allegedly threw an unknown object from his car that hit the back door of the victim's car, ultimately doing more than $1,000 in damage. There was a small dent and a scratch.
Every dent in your car is going to be $1,000.
It's totally true. But it didn't end there, John Daly. Oh no. After driving down the highway, both parties eventually pulled over. Aranca gets out of his car with a sword in hand, comes within a few feet of the victim, thrust the sword in an attempt to stab the man. The victim said he was able to get out of the way and run back to his car before calling 911. So
he definitely has the name for someone with a sword. What is it? Something Aranca?
Aranca, yeah.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Gervasio Aranca Jr.
Yeah, even better. Gervasio Aranca. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Well, the guy got his license plate, and so deputies ended up finding this guy, Aranca Jr.
Can you imagine trying to get the license plate while someone's like trying to like throw a sword at you?
Also, try explaining that to like the cops, like, "Oh, this guy pulled a sword on me."
Yeah, I was trying to
you wouldn't believe it.
I was trying to get his plate down.
So when they pull over Aranca, they try to speak to him. He said it was the other guy's fault. The other guy sideswiped his car, and he was in fear for his life because the other man pointed a gun at him. Although Aranca's wife said she never saw a gun, so no. When your own wife is telling the police, no, never happened. Yeah. So deputies asked Aranca, well, listen, buddy, why didn't you call 911 during this incident? He said, I didn't need to because the other guy said he was calling 911.
The wife is tired of it. She's like, send him to jail.
Like, no thanks. That's the story of Mr. Aranca Jr. That's a good one. I have to say that's a good one. But this one may give it a run for its money. This is a story about a Florida man who crashed a stolen ambulance right on to the lawn in front of the sheriff's office. Well,
nice.
Wait a minute. Minor damage to the lawn. That was about it. But this Florida man was taken into custody after driving a stolen ambulance to the front door of the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. First responders were helping a man who was experiencing an altered mental state after possibly taking drugs on Saturday when he gained access to the front of the ambulance and just drove it away. During the pursuit, the patient, identified as 35-year-old Stanley Williams, hit a curb and steered the ambulance right into the entrance of the Sheriff's Office Operations Center. Oh, I mean, It's nothing says arrest me like pulling up right in front of the sheriff's office. Deputies reported no damage to the sheriff's office property, just some minor damage to the lawn. They say it's not every day that a pursuit ends right at our front door.
You
It
talked about
didn't-
this with Mark. A lot of these ambulances, they keep the ambulance running when
Yeah, they do.
when they run into a store to get some food. And since you talked about that with Mark, I've seen 2 ambulances here in San Francisco unattended and still running. So if
Yeah,
you want a
it's
getaway
very
vehicle,
common.
yeah.
I've seen ambulances stolen. Actually, one was stolen in Sacramento at a hospital where I had worked at the time. Somebody just walked in, got right in, hopped and drove it off, and that was it.
Ooh,
So,
it's a
yeah.
wild idea, but it just might work.
I would say if the paramedics are trying to help you, as they were with this man in this case, then maybe stealing their rig isn't the best move.
No.
A Florida woman is suing SeaWorld after a large palm tree branch fell on her during her wedding. Uh-oh. Yeah. So this happened in
Not getting
Orlando.
5 stars.
No, it's not. A Florida woman is suing SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment after she claims to have been hit and concussed by a falling palm tree branch while at her wedding in Discovery Cove.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Yeah, Donna Montesanti was a business invitee at a wedding at Discovery Cove. Her attorney said in this filing she was preparing to make the toast at the wedding, and she stepped away a short distance, and that is when she heard a crack, and a large branch broke loose from the palm tree about 50 feet above. The palm tree branch reportedly smacked her right in the head, neck, and shoulders, causing a concussion and what she says are other permanent injuries, according to this lawsuit.
Maybe she went on too long. The palm tree's like, oh, wrap it up.
Too long of a speech. It's well known in Florida that royal palm trees have to be routinely maintained and cut, or they will shed themselves, causing very serious falls onto people below. That is what her lawyer wrote in the lawsuit.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Who has their wedding at SeaWorld?
Hey, if you have
right next to Shamu, really?
Right next, right.
Is that the look you want?
Nothing says I'm going to love you forever by
captive animals
and captive animals, right? Than whales in a small tank,
well,
right?
That's depressing.
So
this is what your life's going to be like.
You're also going to be captive. The lawyers say Discovery Cove and SeaWorld Park failed to maintain the premises, and they failed to warn about the dangerous conditions, which they should have known about. And so as a result, she suffered bodily injury, and they want at the very least, $50,000 in damages. That's not
lifetime
a very good
passes. I just want a lifetime pass. That's all.
Lifetime pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. This man who has a nickname, he's called the Florida Joker, claims this character from GTA 6 trailer is based on him. And so he wants more than $1 million in damages. He's the Florida Joker. Lawrence Sullivan. He went viral as the Florida Joker, and now he has an issue with Rockstar Games, which is this video game. It's Grand Theft Auto 6 that they put out, right? And so the trailer was released last week for this video game. The video games now have trailers. It featured a clip of a man with tattoos all over his face. And apparently the look, as you can see here, is very reminiscent of Sullivan's mugshots that went viral a few years ago, showing him with tattoos and dyed hair. That is why he's called the Florida Joker, because of his appearance. Sullivan saw the trailer, and he took to social media to call out Rockstar Games and demand that the company give him between $1 and $2 million for using his look as the inspiration for the video game character. He said, "That's me," when he showed pictures of himself and the video game character. That's the person they got inspiration from. That's me. That's me. GTA, we gotta talk. Oh no, you gotta give me like $1 million or $2 million. Y'all took my likeness. Y'all took my life, he said. It's not the first time the Rockstar Games has been called out by someone who felt their likeness was being used. Lindsay Lohan had a problem. She tried to sue the company for allegedly
quite a few problems
using her likeness for a minor character in Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of people with tattoos on their face, and he didn't invent the Joker character.
Oh, yes, he did. It says
Oh,
Joker
yes,
right
he
on his
did.
forehead. I don't see
No,
a trademark. I don't see a little
Mm.
trademark sign there though.
So does that mean the Joker and the Batman took their
Well, it's
inspiration
the
from it
eye. It's
too?
like the tattoos, the darkness around the eye. That's very similar. I could see that.
Are you siding with the Florida Joker on this
Well, you
one?
can see around his lips. It's like that barbed wire, that taped kind of look that's around
Mhm.
the edge of his head. Yeah, it's similar design. Yeah,
We'll
it's not
see.
exactly the same, but
We'll see if they owe him any money.
hey, he put a lot of money into that effort, and they just
Lindsay
ripped it off.
Lohan didn't get money. The judge tossed out her case saying it was a generic looking young woman. It wasn't based on her.
Ouch! Are they just talking about her or the
I mean, that
character
game
in
is
the
pretty
video game?
popular. It would be really funny if the judge is like, "I love this game, Lindsay. You're not getting
Yeah.
anything."
You're a
No.
very generic looking character.
Here's a Florida story for you guys. A Florida man set his shoe on fire to stay warm and then passed out in front of an office building. Let's talk a little bit about this fella. This happened in Lady Lake, Florida, where a man has now found himself behind bars after apparently setting one of his shoes on fire to stay warm. Then he passed out, leaving the fire unattended. 38-year-old Michael Dubberly arrested, charged with disorderly intoxication and recreational fires after this incident happened outside a real estate office.
Recreational fire?
Yeah, I guess you can't have a recreational fire. It happened in Lady Lake in December 5th. When officers arrived at the scene, what can you tell us about the scene? They found Dubberly passed out in front of this office building with a shoe fully engulfed in flames.
Did you really just do that?
Which is redundant when they say fully engulfed. What other kind of engulfed is there? But
Partially
it was
engulfed.
right in front of them. That would not be engulfed
Just
in
the
that
back
case.
of the shoe. Back of the shoe is engulfed.
The fire, which was located less than 5 feet from the front entrance of the building, was extinguished by an officer. Lying next to Dubberly was a few cans of alcoholic beverages. One was empty, another half full,
Willing to
a
bet your
third
lunch?
unopened. There's alcohol involved, people. He had built this
I'd be
warming
willing
fire,
to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
and then he just passed right out. He said he only wanted to keep warm. He drank one Mike's Hard Lemonade, tall boy. And he wasn't steady on his feet. It was hard to understand when he spoke. He said the police said they could smell a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from him.
I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of these things happen in San Francisco all the time. I called the fire department when a homeless guy set like a big fire on the sidewalk with pizza boxes and whatnot. They just come over, kind of douse it and then take off.
Move on.
Was that a recreational fire though, John?
I don't know if it was recreational. If you're just trying to stay, that guy was not trying to stay alive. It's not.
Well,
cold
listen,
here,
in
but
Florida, you get arrested for such things, okay?
yeah.
Telling you.
How cold was it in Florida that he needed his shoe to keep him warm?
One wonders. I didn't think
69
it really
degrees.
got that cold in Florida, but he was
68.
chilly out there in the open air. Maybe it was a brisk breeze off the sea in Lady Lake. Cuba is thwarting a terrorist plot by a South Florida man who apparently arrived by jet ski. Why not?
Wow.
Cuba
What?
saying late Saturday, this is according to Reuters, that they had thwarted a terrorist plot hatched in South Florida. According to a report on their state-run Cuban media. This man allegedly arrived on the island by jet ski to commit acts of violence. They are still investigating what happened here, but they say that this man has been tied, or the plot has been tied, to at least two groups, Nueva Nación Cubana and La Nueva Nación Cubana en Armas, which Cuba has labeled terrorist entities. So the report is saying that one of the men they arrested, who appeared, whose identity was unclear, was armed with several handguns, ammunition clips, and ammunition. The report says this man, a Cuban residing in Florida, entered Cuba illegally on a jet ski with Florida registration, and then abandoned it in a mangrove swamp on the island's north coast before making his way overland to Cienfuegos in south central Cuba. The man then allegedly attempted to recruit others to help him commit acts of violence, arson, vandalism, all of this before his eventual arrest. And the state-run media in Cuba and says several other Cubans residing in South Florida and Cuba were under investigation for their involvement in this alleged plot as well.
You know where that is. It's right by the communist Whole Foods.
Is that where it is?
Yeah.
Do they have that there too? Yeah. The kind of side note on all of this is these allegations were made 2 days after Cuba published a list of more than 80 foreign nationals and entities it is accusing of terrorism, including influencers, many longtime dissidents who reside in the United States, and a candidate for mayor of Florida's Miami-Dade County. Now, I don't know if one thing has to do with the other, but there you go. So it's time to pick a favorite, my friends. Let's go over it.
Like Kim, I
There
think we
is-
have a couple more.
Oh,
I think we have 2 more here.
okay. My bad.
Seemed a
I'm
little
sorry.
short. Yeah.
Yeah, these
let's
2
do it
are
again.
actually. I
What the
think
hell
these
is
last 2
going
are my
on in the
favorite.
United
Yeah.
States of
How
America?
could we miss this
My
one?
bad. I'm sorry.
Indeed, a Florida man has been arrested for allegedly refusing to pay for a Waffle House tattoo. This Florida man was arrested after he got the ink of the Waffle House tattoo, and then he refused to pay for it. 33-year-old Max Kretschkant was arrested on a petite theft charge for failing to pay a tattoo parlor in St. Petersburg, Florida earlier this month. Deputies in Pinellas County responded to ink gods after the man received this tattoo but wouldn't pay the $250 charge for it. Why wouldn't he pay? He says
Because it was stupid.
he
idea.
didn't have his debit card with him. That's why. He couldn't pay because he didn't have his debit card with him. He also failed to provide proof that he had the $250 in his bank account, and he refused to pay the money after being offered multiple payment options. Still, he's not coughing up the cash. Deputies looked in his bag. They only found $6 and his driver's license. He was booked into the Pinellas County Jail and released the next day on a $150 bond. I hope
Life
you enjoy the
decisions.
Waffle House tattoo. Good job.
There's never been anything like this.
All right. Well, this is a story about a drunken tourist who apparently molested a manatee statue at a Florida restaurant after being asked to leave. This tourist finds himself
time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
He finds himself behind bars after he drunkenly threw gator nuggets into a restaurant and then sexually molested a manatee
he
statue.
Threw gator nuggets
Nuggets
into the restaurant?
Gator nuggets into the restaurant.
I have so many questions.
And then molested this manatee statue when staff asked him to leave. He is 23-year-old Anthony Lessa, and he is now arrested on a charge of disorderly intoxication. It took place at 2 separate spots in St. Pete Beach on Friday, Postcard Inn on the Beach, and Rick's Reef Restaurant. That according to authorities.
What the hell is going on in the United States of America?
So he's from Pittsburgh. He's accused of going to Florida and throwing gator nuggets into Rick's Reef Restaurant. Deputies found more of the gator nuggets in his pants pocket.
What are
when he
gator
was
nuggets?
arrested.
Are they in the shape of a gator, or are they made from gator?
Interesting you should ask, John Daly. Rick's Reef Restaurant menus gator bites are little chunks of fresh fried alligator.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's a good mugshot, though.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Mugshot model with the hairstyling.
Yeah. It's kind of a look up, a little sexy kind of
that
little thing going on there.
Like, ooh, I
Well,
lost my
after
freedom.
hucking gator bites into the restaurant, the staff confronted Lessa, and apparently that's when he became belligerent and sexually molested a manatee statue in the presence of staff and other patrons. Well, that's a little disturbing, thought everyone else. He then ran off the property down Gulf Boulevard toward his hotel, which is the Postcard Inn on the beach. The hotel's manager called authorities, saying Lessa was acting disorderly at the hotel as well, near the front desk area. He was yelling, he was screaming obscenities at the front desk worker. When the manager asked Lessa to calm down and offered to escort him to his room, he refused to say what room he was in. Lessa then trespassed from the property, but he stayed in the parking lot, lingering and yelling more obscenities, causing a backup in traffic, disturbing the peace of other guests waiting for rides.
Backup in traffic, too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently, there's a line of people trying to get into the Postcard Inn. Well, when deputies caught up with Lessa, they observed a strong odor consistent with an alcoholic beverage. And they noticed his pupils were dilated in a high light environment. So he apparently was in a heightened state with a
And his cheeks
short-term
were
memory
rosy.
implication. His
His
cheeks were a
cheeks were
little
rosy and
rosy.
pouty.
Yeah. Apparently he continued to ask deputies why he was being arrested on a loop. Like, he was placed into custody near the hotel. He was transported to jail. He's since been released on his own recognizance. That's a vacation, people.
Sounds like that was more than alcohol.
That's a vacation. All right, now let's recap it and pick
I can't believe you left that one out.
Yeah, there was a little space in between, and I didn't see those two stories down below. Always a complaint from you, honestly.
No, just pointing out the fact that you almost left that out. That's a great story.
The good ones, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we have the Florida man who flung an object at a car and then whipped out a sword during a road rage incident.
Strong.
The Florida man who crashed a stolen ambulance right onto the sheriff's office lawn. The Florida woman who sued SeaWorld after she got hit with a palm tree.
Karen.
The man dubbed the Florida Joker, claiming his character from Grand Theft Auto 6 is based on him. A Florida man who set his shoe on fire to stay warm, found with that Mike's Hard Lemonade laying right beside him. Cuba, saying they stopped a terrorist plot by a South Florida man who arrived on a jet ski and ditched it in a mangrove. A Florida man arrested for allegedly refusing to pay for his Waffle House tattoo.
I saw a picture of that tattoo. It's
Yeah.
it's the sign for the Waffle House. Every letter's in a square, and it's kind of like crooked. Like the letters they're not like lined up.
So he should have argued the reason he wasn't going to pay for it was because it was a defective tattoo.
Yeah, sloppy.
And lastly, the drunk tourist who threw the gator bites allegedly and molested the manatee statue in an untoward way.
And he was a tourist too? Wow.
He was a tourist from
He was
Philadelphia.
living it up.
He was having the vacation of a lifetime. He took his Florida vacation seriously. All right?
Yeah.
When in Florida,
he understood the assignment.
Exactly. All right, John Daly, what's your fave?
I was going to go with sword until you added those last stories in, but I have to go with the manatee molester. He's got a lot in there. That's a lot packed into one story.
The chucking of the gator bites and the manatee molesting.
And backing up traffic. Yeah.
And the yelling and the screaming and the belligerent nature. Yeah, all of that. Albert, what's your fave?
I mean, anytime there's a sword involved, you got to go with the sword. It's a cool move. I always like to imagine the judges in Florida being like, "Oh, he used the sword. We're gonna shave 2 years off of his sentence."
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
All right, what do we have going in the chat? What seems to be the fave?
The manatee statue story, 42%, and then we had the recreational shoe fire in a close vote with the man with the sword. So.
Oh, who doesn't love a good recreational shoe fire? I mean, come on.
Shoe fire sounds like he's doing like drugs, like recreational drugs.
Yeah.
And just experimenting.
I'm definitely choosing the gator bite throwing manatee molester. That's got to be it. Got to be it. All right,
and there's good alliteration there. The manatee molester. It sounds like a great nickname.
I would agree. Well, that has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.